the grisly tale of Fiddlesticks Caldwell, and how he left 6 night nurses strung up with a chamber of candles, and they were dancing around like puppets, and they praised him a lot. He forced them to praise them a lot. Yeah, that's what happened. And then he made them jerk him off a lot. Then he used his cum to spell out, "Why don't you love me?" And that's when he miraculously cut them all down, and then he took his own life, but not before telling them that they were very unwholesome, and then that really hit home with them, and it was very sad. It's true crime. This is what true crime is. Every day we talk about hurting women. It's injuring women. We like stories about injuring women. That's what it's mostly about. Women like stories about women getting injured because it makes them feel better. You know how the dames are competitive. They're really competitive, these dames, and they always just want to hear about other girls getting hurt. That's why they're like Mean Girls. You know the scene where Rachel McAdams bites it from the bus? That's it. That's the fantasy. You get even with all your enemies. You're pretty Lindsay Lohan. But guess what? That killer, he doesn't see you as Lindsay Lohan. He's the bus, and you're Rachel McAdams. Do you understand? Do you understand how dangerous a world this is? Do you understand that you're constantly beset on all sides by frothing men who will do anything to cut you up? They're gonna cut you. 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 They're gonna cut you.
Welcome to House of True Crime.
It's House of True Crime, sponsored by BlueChew. BlueChew.
Yeah, BlueChew are chewable tablets that you can take that have sildenafil and sildenafil.
Just because you're hard-boiled doesn't mean you don't have to be hard-boiled. These are detective stories. These are hard-boiled detective stories.
You can use promo code House of Decline or House of Decline 20. I think it's either one of those. Bluechew.com. Chewable tablets to make your boner good.
You're gonna, same as the boner you're gonna get when you listen to these stories about murdered women.
If you like sex and true crime, you'll love BlueChew.
Yes. Nothing like reading A Devil in the White City with a massive erection.
Yes.
H.H. Holmes, I'm an H.H. homosexual. Well, we're getting up into crew crime.
Crew crime stories.
Crew crime up here. Crew crime stories. We're just constantly, our mouths agape, soy-facing as we talk about our favorite murdered women.
So sometimes the serial killers kill men as well, you know. Yeah,
they kill men. Those are fun. Those are fun. Everybody likes those. Okay. I mean, they're the less problematic ones because you know we have it coming. Yeah. No, that's horrible. I mean, there's who are the men serial killers? We got Jeffrey Dahmer. We got John Wayne Gacy.
You mean the men serial killers of men?
Yeah,
right.
The male serial killers.
There's very few women serial killers.
There are a few. I mean, the famous example is Eileen Wuornos. And they made a movie about her.
Was that with Charlize Theron?
Yeah, she uglified her face. And then she got an Oscar for playing convincingly ugly and serial killer. I haven't seen the movie. For what I assume, it must be good. You know who directed that? Is fucking Patty Jenkins, the woman that eventually directed Wonder Woman.
Huh. Well, I mean, Wonder Woman's a serial killer.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a serial killer. She's definitely in the IDF. She's definitely, punching Palestinian kids. I sympathize with their desire for land. If they ever tried to come for Themyscira, I don't know what I would do. So this is why I must defend Israel. It's my Gal Gadot impression.
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot is the greatest actor on earth. She will overcome. She will win an Oscar in 10 years for playing. I don't know what will Gal Gadot win the Oscar for?
Probably playing with like a serial killer.
Yeah, she'll play a serial killer. She'll play Catherine Knight, the Australian lady, or Belle Gunness. But who's like we do have obsession with hot serial killers or hot lady. Did you see Killing Eve? Did you ever see that show, Killing Eve?
Yeah, I boycott that actress. Both of those actresses, actually.
Sandra Oh, and I don't know what the lady's name is.
Yeah, the one who's doing the killing.
Villanelle is her name in the show.
She's in the new Ridley Scott movie, so I'm not going to see it.
The Last Duel?
Yeah.
I like it because it's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Ben Affleck's in it?
No, they wrote it. Oh. Matt Damon's in it. But what's interesting is, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, it's their first screenwriting collaboration since Good Will Hunting. But it's funny, they're like this Boston fried medieval take. It would be funny if they were just all had Boston accents for some reason.
And they got Ridley Scott to direct it.
Yeah.
And it's got Adam Driver.
Oh, it's got Adam Driver in it. What's Adam Driver doing?
Being retarded.
Being retarded? He has like a weird long face.
He's being retarded.
And he just has a neutral expression with his weird long face, and everyone's like, yes. You know about the Kuleshov effect, right?
The what? Who?
The Kuleshov effect?
No, I don't. I don't know.
No, that's a thing in film that you learn in Film 101 class, where it's the cinematographer.
It's the Alexander technique. Is that what it is?
No. The Alexander technique is when you breathe from the taint. The Kuleshov effect is when if you have a film, someone with a neutral expression, and you edit things in front of and behind that neutral expression, you can judge what the character is feeling, even though they have a neutral expression. So if you show a picture of a circus and then the guy with the neutral expression, and then the picture of the circus, the audience will think, oh, he's happy, he is at a circus. But then you show a funeral and the guy with the neutral expression, and then the funeral again, and then the guy is sad. So the context of what is surrounding an image determines how the audience interprets that image, which is an interesting feature of film. And that's all I'm saying. Adam Driver has one of those faces that's very good at Kuleshov affecting, where his neutral expression is like you can just plant any emotion onto that. Like his face is just making every expression at once when it's in its neutral mode, which is why he just has that cheekbony face. That's my theory on why.
He's like the ketchup of actors. He's good on everything.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone, will just come watch Adam Driver and his weird long face. Did you like the Star Wars sequels? Did you like him in the Star Wars sequel? I don't care about fucking Star Wars. I don't fucking care about Star Wars anymore. I'm into true crime now.
Wow, true crime. Or true crime podcast.
We should do the true crime of Star Wars, where there's a Jedi serial killer. I guess he'd be a Sith serial killer, and he uses the Force to torture and mutilate.
Yeah, that's boring. I don't know. I find true crime boring. I'm sorry. Let me
true crime.
Put that out there.
I guess the other reason why we're talking about it is because it's hit this fever pitch as a cultural phenomenon, where it's become this very normie thing to like true crime. Like, I love my pumpkin spice latte and my true crime podcast. It's become a very Stacey thing to...
Okay, we have 17 different Law and Orders, so
yeah,
I don't know how much we're at a peak. Are you sure we're at a peak? Wasn't the peak like when everyone was watching TNT? Remember that channel? Do you have that in Canada? TNT?
Yeah, we have TNT.
You have TNT? Really?
We got
TNT.
They show a bunch of strange reruns of stuff.
Well,
and like
used
real
to have
TV.
Law and Order all the time.
Yeah.
And I would watch TNT nonstop. Law and Order.
See, at least I think there is something when it's when it's fictionalized, even if it's very similar to a case that was in the news. I think when it's fictionalized, it becomes slightly more ethical to use because you're not talking about the actual people this happened to, and it sort of takes on an irreverence, and not like a good irreverence.
So you want to jump into the murky world of ethics?
I mean, so the reason why I think this phenomena has been discussed recently is because there's the biggest podcast now on Patreon is True Crime Obsessed, which I've never heard of before, but it makes a fuck ton of money. And the image is these two hosts soy facing as they watch as they recount thehave favorite true crime stories. But the thing about it is, like, everyone knows Bundy and Gacy. They have become pop culture figures by now. So what's weird about the true crime genre and how it's evolved is now it's just covering weird local news and weird murders that happen throughout the country, like, you know, like Florida Man headlines. So it has that same sort of depravity as when you indulge in the Florida Man headlines.
I didn't know that. Now they're basically just covering the local news.
Well, they not just that. They'll have like specials on like the super big guys, but they'll like do, and what are the murders of the week? Here's the murders of the week. I mean, they've been doing that since like the like true crime show that had that tone was My Favorite Murder, right? Did you ever hear of that? That was very popular.
Never heard of it.
Like back in the day. I think it started like a good 6-7 years ago. And so people, specifically women, are very into this genre. It's become sort of this hallmark for people to enjoy this in a popular I don't know what I'm saying.
And I guess we said on the show, you do speak for women. I
speak for women all the time.
I
have a female brain.
You are
I have a female. Yeah. This is. I know what it's like. I know the pain of womanhood. I empathize deeply.
I watched the controversial Dave Chappelle special, which was not very funny.
The controversial Dave,
in which he says that he thinks feminism would do better if they had a male leader. Which let me just explain to you why that's funny. That's funny because it would not. Instead, what you would expect would be it would have as you see, a female leader. But very cleverly, Dave Chappelle switches the gender in that joke to change it so that it would instead be a male leader of the feminism.
It's not what you expected.
Wow.
It's different.
I paused and rewound, to analyze that joke.
He's the greatest of all. He's a master of his craft.
Yeah, as he was saying, transgender people go to him to take classes in how to be funny, and that's probably why they're getting killed all the time. Actually, because they're just learning from Dave Chappelle.
Well, the thing about it, Dave, is I'm addressing you, Dave. Now I don't care. I don't care about this fucking special. I don't know if it's like has a 1-to-1 relationship. People out there have been saying that you can connect this special to like real world effects for trans people.
Maybe you can connect it to him. You can
definitely not to any statistical certainty, but do I think to a group of people this sort of normalizes a dismissal of real problems? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen the special. But from what he says he's team turf, and what I found most bizarre when I was reading about it is that so apparently he launches into this long diatribe about how he has this trans comedian friend who killed herself.
Specifically, that's what I was saying. And he says that she would like go to his shows because she was taking lessons.
So I read that, it was like, isn't that sounds incredibly fucked up, like to use a person who killed themselves and like can't speak for themselves to deflect criticism. That's like something I would do at my most petty. Like, I'm not racist. My dead black friend who killed himself, because that's why I can make all of these. That's why I can make all of these jokes.
Yeah, it would. You can, like I said, you can skip it. I don't really want to talk about it too much other than...
No, who cares? It's been out for weeks at this point.
They got me with the controversy thing. They got me to watch it.
They got you to watch it. I mean, that's the thing. That's what they want to do. That's why they're not shit-canning it, because the controversy makes a lot of gravy.
Yeah. That's why the Netflix CEO in the meeting was like, oh, you mean the controversy that's making our numbers go up? I have no comment.
Yeah, what you gonna do? And, this walkout, I think there is some calculated desire to have negative attention on this, which is, I don't know, because apparently they fired a trans staffer who was protesting the special and had maybe leaked information. I don't know. But
you can't leak information.
I don't know. I don't know what was happening but I don't. Netflix are obviously cynical company attempting to play both sides of a culture war.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about getting mad at Netflix is like 40% of the people watching Netflix do so on a Roku, and Roku hosts all kinds of crazy shit. Like Roku hosts OANN, the One American News Network. They host like a bunch of extremely right-wing conspiratorial shit, like stuff that's way worse than Dave Chappelle's, weird like didactic lectures series. And I can't call it comedy. It's just like Dave Chappelle being a school teacher giving a lecture.
Yeah. So if you want to learn something, what was really funny is in the commercial before the special, it was another Morgan Freeman commercial, because he gets Morgan Freeman to narrate his shit, which is very Reddit, and I say this as a person who is very Reddit, but it's like, oh, Morgan Freeman, get him to narrate. He's got it's a very Reddit conceit. And the fact that Dave Chappelle also endorsed Andrew Yang, very Reddit. I'm going to go out and say that Dave Chappelle is a very Reddit guy.
But Reddit is so pro-trans.
Yeah, but you can still be Reddit, and so there are pockets of anti-trans.
Yeah, there are pockets of anti-trans.
You can still be Reddit, yeah. And I think Dave Chappelle fits neatly into that.
I hate Reddit. I really fucking hate Reddit.
Yeah, everybody hates Reddit. It's very nerdy.
Okay, so who's your favorite serial killer?
Who's my favorite serial killer?
World?
Ever of all time?
Ever of all time. No countries, specifically any country, any person, any era.
It's Panzram. It's always going to be Carl Panzram.
Carl how do you spell it? Pans?
Carl, Panz. I say Zed because I'm Canadian.
Yep, we know.
R-A-M.
We know.
Carl,
you think
Panzram.
You think we forgot you're Canadian?
Well, there's lots of good Canadian serial killers.
Carl Pans.
There's lots of good Carl Panzram.
What happens after the Z, the Z?
R-A-M.
R-A-M.
Carl Panzram.
Wow.
He was a guy at the turn of the 20th century, and he traveled all around the world, sodomizing boys and killing boys. And he rode the rails when he was a youngster, and that's when he first got sodomized and then turned it back on people. He was a yegg. He was the ward of yeggs. Yeggs were hobo sodomites who would ride the rails, but a very specific type. And he wrote a book about himself, and he was very well spoken. And one time in prison, he had this very progressive warden that actually let him out for the night if he promised to come back. And Carl Panzram, most shockingly, did come back. It was sort of a weird. His adventures with this strange warden was very interesting. It was a very interesting piece of true crime history, and a very interesting piece of compelling piece of thought in the prison abolition. But also, I mean, there are two types of serial killers, and I think the reason why people get obsessed with them is because the ones that are really haunting are the sympathetic ones. And I say sympathetic, obviously evil, unforgivable crime, blah, blah, blah. But you understand that it didn't have to be this way with them. Like, there were things that could have intervened in their lives to, like, definite points in their lives where they made decisions or decisions were thrust upon them that if that hadn't been the case, they would have made it out okay, which is why, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer is sort of compelling, because he's not a sociopath. He's a really fucked up guy, but he's capable of understanding and processing emotion, which makes it all the more terrifying. Like Bundy, you know, he's Shark Eye's killer. There's nothing behind the eyes. But I think Panzram is also one of these guys, one of these people that actually had a soul, which makes their choices all the more baffling and mystifying. And there, but for the grace of God, go I. So, you know, that's why I knock one in for old Carl there.
Wow. Yeah, he is a pretty intense guy.
Yeah.
He had to go to reform school where he was repeatedly beaten and tortured and raped by staff members.
Yes. It was, the world made him. Oh, I mean, that's the thing with Carl Panzram is, like, you see where it comes from.
Yeah, sometimes you get the serial killer where, like nothing is seemingly wrong with their upbringing, though.
Yeah, that's Ted Bundy. That's Bundy all the way. There's nothing that should have made Ted Bundy that way that you can point to. There's no moment of intense trauma. My actual favorite serial
killer is the Washington Sniper, father, son.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And there aren't a lot of black serial killers either, so that's a rare one.
I really enjoyed that one as it was going on, I'm sorry to say. I remember I was in a pretty dark place as a teen.
When you were a teen, yeah.
And so I was like, hell yeah. I hope they don't catch this guy.
It was two guys. It was, you know, that's something to do with your dad. I really feel heartened. Have they made like a heartwarming father and son bonding Washington Sniper movie?
Yeah, with Denzel Washington and
Michael B. Jordan.
No. It was gonna be.
They need someone younger.
Jalen Smith. Is that his name?
Jaden Smith.
Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
Or Will Smith and Jaden. Fuck, why not just get...
Yeah, a Washington Sniper movie with Will and Jaden Smith, that would kick ass. I would watch the shit out of that. Yeah. I love you, Dad. I love you, son.
Were they actually a father and son? Or was he,
I think they were.
Adoptive?
Or was it an uncle and nephew? Or something like that. I think it was a father and son.
And the guy, the younger of the two, Lee Boyd Malvo,
yeah,
just got a perfect serial killer name. Lee Boyd Malvo.
Yeah, in Fargo they named. Oh, he was only 17 at the time. He was. I think I don't know the story, but he was probably manipulated by his dad. It seems.
I don't think it's his dad.
It's not his dad? I thought it was his dad.
No. Nope.
Was it just a guy? They were just friends?
I think step boyfriend, basically. It's like, I think his mom was in a relationship with him, but that's not his dad.
Okay.
That's why they have different names. John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo. I mean, she left the son with him when the son was like 14.
Sure, he's his dad, you know?
Yeah, stepdad, basically.
That's fine. It's still a type of dad.
Yeah, stepdad kind of late, though, like late in life, 14 and on.
They had some sort of familial relationship, though. Fucking...
So I guess it's going to have to be Denzel and Jaden.
Yeah. You ever play catch with your dad? That's some bullshit. We're going out sniping.
Yeah.
You ever go, you're going out to the lake, getting some fish? Bullshit, we're sniping.
Yeah, I think,
you hunt deer? You fucking pussy?
It reminded me of that scene in The Jerk. I was like, they're doing the jerk on people.
You know? They're mad at all these cans.
Hey, they hate these cans. There's like a serial killer trying to shoot Steve Martin at the gas station, which is where they did their attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lee Boyd Malvo and John Allen Muhammad watched The Jerk and stopped at that
like,
scene.
oh, damn, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I wish The Jerk would inspire more serial killings. I wish Steve Martin movies would inspire more serial killings.
Have you watched, speaking of true crime, have you watched the new Steve Martin show?
No, you're right. There is a Steve. Oh my God, there is a Steve Martin. No, what's it called? Like Memories of Murder
It's
House.
called Last Murder on the Block, I believe.
Oh my God.
And it's about people who are obsessed with true crime podcasts.
There you go.
I watched the first episode of it, and I didn't continue, but I would go back to it because it has, your little Canadian export guy, Martin Short.
Oh, he's wonderful.
He's a wonderful actor.
He's a wonderful actor, and I like that him and Steve Martin have joined together at this point in their life.
Steve Martin, I feel like is kind of cynical now.
Yeah.
I don't like how cynical he is.
You mean he's only doing it for a paycheck? You know, he doesn't care about the craft
There's
anymore.
something like behind his eyes that like got hardened. Like
Martin Short still seems manic, though.
Martin Short seems approachable, whereas Steve Martin does not. Like, it's not as bad as Chevy Chase, where you're like, I wouldn't talk to Chevy Chase if I was in an elevator with him.
I would be actively scared of Chevy Chase if I was in an elevator.
Please
afraid
don't
he'd
shoot
do
me,
something.
Mr. Chase.
Please don't rub me. Stop rubbing me. I don't care about comedians.
I mean, those are the
being
three
nice.
amigos, so.
You're right. There are the three amigos. I haven't seen that movie. Is it good?
You haven't seen? Did you not have Comedy Central in Canada?
We did, but I guess I just never paid attention to the Three Amigos whenever it was on.
It was on Comedy Central nonstop.
We didn't have Comedy Central. We have the Comedy Network in Canada.
See, I'm right. Yeah, you didn't have. That's why I was suspicious of TNT.
We had to play Canadian comedy movies like Strange Brew and
Martin Short's Canadian.
and Going Berserk. Yeah, there are a lot of Canadian comedy movies. Really bad Canadian comedy movies. I can't think of any other than Strange Brew and Going Berserk. For some reason, my dad was obsessed with. He loves Going Berserk. It's like his favorite movie comedy of all time. It's this middling John Candy movie from 1981. He just thinks it's really funny. I guess you gotta have those things you love, like true crime. You know, you gotta have. Everyone says you're a freak for liking it, but you know.
There's also a true crime podcast for hacking now.
Sure.
Which is
Hackercasts.
That's been its own entire subgenre. I actually stole some of the icons for the House of Decline website from one such podcast.
That's fine.
It is actually fine. The icons are not copyrighted or anything, so I can.
They're not NFTs.
No.
NFTs, those icons.
It'd be funny to make your website like have everything on every a resource.
Every asset.
Every asset on the website is an NFT.
It's an NFT.
You can't use that.
Yeah.
The heading.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
We
is
need to
my
regulate
NFT is a 50 pixel by 600 long pixel red bar that says available for phone and video consultations.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you get $80 a pop anytime someone uses it,
Hell yeah.
or more. I don't know. There isn't regulation on NFTs yet, is there?
No, you can't enforce that in any way.
Yeah, there's no.
That's not what they're
claim.
for. That's not what they're for.
They're for a lot of things. They're for gambling, money laundering, and art.
Yeah,
And
the
of course,
thing
the
that
art.
I like, what I like about them is something like that is not what they're being used for at all right now. I want everything. I want every single digital file to have a non-fungible token attached to it, and every single one. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't
Why?
care about storing it as art. I think every single file needs to be unique.
Why?
That's going to change everything about like our paradigms around computing and software usage. So, and I think it would have a positive. It would turn like something sort of more tangible about the virtual spaces, which is, I think, sorely needed. It'll make things more weighty.
Why is it not being weighty a problem now?
Well, so for instance, now you can just make a copy of files and they're indistinguishable. So if you can make a copy of a file, but then they're distinguishable, and that is making a sort of a record of everything that's going on. So then the government can use it to police you. That's my idea.
yeah. Hell yeah.
You wouldn't download a video game, would you?
I would download... What wouldn't I download? I wouldn't download a sickness. That would be bad.
Would you download a true crime podcast?
I would download several true crime podcasts. I'll download
so do you think they're bad for society?
I think there are some people... I don't think they're bad for society. It's slop. People argue that it's inherently conservative because it's like pro-cop. But a lot of true crime podcasts are about how cops are utterly incompetent. It was like, and the left line is, well, cops aren't there to solve murders. They're there to enforce the strictures of power and enforce private property for the rich, which is true to some degree. But it's also like you can get AntiCop true crime podcasts out there. That's not a rare thing.
So maybe those are the good ones that we should all listen to.
I suppose they're the good ones. I don't know. Even the ones that I like are like, we like cops when they actually solve murders. So I guess it is conservative
true. We like
in that
McNulty.
There's an inherent...
everyone likes McNulty.
McNulty fucks so hard. Oh my God. He fucks so fucking hard. Yeah. They show him in so many scenes where he's just fucking women. It's very necessary to show how good McNulty fucks. You have to know this about the character. McNulty fucks like a goddamn fucking demon, and so do all good cops. All good cops know how to fuck. They may be beacons of infidelity. They may drink too much, and they may hurt the ones they love, but goddamn, they fuck good. And that's what you need to know from true crime. But that's what true crime podcasts teach you. And inherently right-wing in that way. No, I think there's also the other fear is it's like making people, specifically the female audience that gets targeted by these programs. It's designed to stoke their paranoia and make them think that everyone is out to get them. And I don't know how
that's kind of healthy, though, isn't it?
Like, I suppose. There should I think there should be a balance. Like, not everyone's like a serial killer, but
most people are, right?
Most people
are out there doing serial killer stuff.
Yeah, it's the old. I think that's also where the fascination lies. It's the old Joker thing, one bad day. Do I have the capacity for that? And thinking about what goes into a person to make it such that they have the capacity for that. It's and times in your life when you've been tempted yourself to do violence or to act out in impulsive rage, or to where you've had an intrusive thought where you visualized injuring somebody, which I think everybody has. You're lying if you haven't. But then to understand the frame of mind that leads a person to actually go through with that, I think is part of the fascination with the fragility of our psyches,
Oh yeah, they're very fragile. Everyone is like one bad day away from snapping, like you said.
It's just one.
That's why I don't go anywhere or see anyone.
Yeah.
I order all of my groceries from my phone, and I leave directions that say, "Get out of my house, leave the groceries and run."
But serial killers, they're not even a thing anymore.
No, that's because they all get snapped up by the government to ship overseas. They turn them into Navy SEALs.
They send them all to Ukraine in order to collaborate with the Ukrainian fascists.
No, I think it's like the availability of the internet is maybe made it so there's less or they're harder to detect because serial killers learn how to hide their tracks based on the availability of information on how every other serial killer has been caught. For instance, you can go to www.serialkillershop.com and just get... first off, you can buy fanware. You can buy t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, socks, face masks, mugs, accessories, art of serial killers.
That's a little morbid, sure, but I don't know if people are into that. If people want to sport a big John Wayne Gacy, that signals sort of what you're about.
Yeah, you want to get a "What Would Jeffrey Dahmer Do" hoodie? It's $40.
I mean, that's a case. I mean, you can get very anti-cop from the Dahmer case because famously one of Dahmer's victims escaped, and the cops, thinking that, oh, this is just a weird gay thing, didn't investigate. He was like pleading with them for help, but Dahmer came in the nick of time. He was like, oh no, it's okay, I'll just take this kid back. And the stupid fucking Wisconsin cops just were like, it's a gay thing. They can work it out among themselves. I think this kid was also like 13 at the time. And these fucking cops remained on the force and, were eventually commended. And there was no discipline. There was nothing to... Yeah, a lot of serial killer stories will make you anti-cop. I think Robert Pickton, too. That's the story of there was actually, and I don't know, I hesitate to use the word good cop because that's fraught, but there was a cop that is actually competent at detecting serial killers, and he had a method for it. I forget what his name was, like Kim something, but because of internecine jealousy within the police department, he was kept from investigating the string of murders that were happening to sex workers in Vancouver, which is that's a great demonstration. The Robert Pickton is a great demonstration of how the system of the police undermines its own purpose.
Well, Pickton was feeding his victims to the pigs, and so the cops were like, hey, we're not going to take food out of our brothers' mouths.
Boom! Roasted. Get him. But yeah, I think there. I don't know if you can make a woke true crime podcast. I think that is true. You can't make it's always inherently exploitative because you're reveling in something horrible. There's always a lurid aspect. There's not. You're lying if you pretend that you enjoy it purely for its instructional aspect. And I think that's what was also happening is in the reaction to, I think, Emma Berquist. She's a journalist, opinion creator. She wrote an article, and she had actually been stabbed, and she wrote an article about how true crime is rotting our brains, and then there was a lot of backlash to it, specifically using the argument, this is instructional. It helps us, prepare for the worst. But, it's not why you listen to true crime. You listen to true crime because it's titillating, because it makes you feel weird and uncomfortable and almost like a roller coaster. It's a way to get an emotion out of you, which is why you imbibe it, not because it's educational. And I think,
Yeah. Well, also, it's kind of why Shakespeare always had his plays end in a bloodbath.
It's great. It's a great strategy.
Yeah, it's like, okay, now there's going to be blood spurting everywhere. It's, we like violent movies. Same kind of reason.
Well, when it's pretend, it's a way to feel the rush of adrenaline without actually being in danger, which is, I think one of the great positives about entertainment is why, in the words of recreation, as in recreation, understanding the world around us by creating a safe zone in which we can experience these. I think, that's good. A death safe space is sort of what I'm saying, I guess. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it becomes exploitative, especially, when you have podcasts that do the thing where it's like, we're talking about the death of this we're talking about Gabby Petito, and now you have our ad for, is your mortgage, get a reverse mortgage, you'll get it, you'll do well. Be funny if they have ads for. I don't know if that's the target.
I don't
audience.
think podcasts advertise reverse mortgages.
That's the ones to the old people. I guess. Are there any old people podcasts?
No, old people do not know what a podcast is. Most of them. That's
true.
Still, they're like,
listen to
what
old-time
now?
radio.
Who? What? Who? How? Who? How? What now? What? How? Who?
They're always confused and asking questions because they're beset with Alzheimer's.
Yeah, they just ask who, how, what, and now with an implied question. Who, how, now, what? What? Now? Who? Mm-hmm. Now what?
Yeah. Dr. Demento? More like Dr. Dementia. Whoa! He doesn't remember his child's face. He's Dr. Dementia. He doesn't know where he is, and he's constantly melancholic. It's Dr. Dementia, the hot new comedy character.
This bit sucks.
Yeah, it was funny. It's funnier than Chappelle's special. No, I haven't seen the special. There was one joke in the description that made me laugh when he talked about his black cells fighting the Chinese cough.
No, I didn't like that either. I didn't like any joke at all in that special.
None of the jokes worked.
Nope. And I don't like his. And you know what? I don't like his other stuff. I don't like his show.
What? No.
I don't think I'm Rick James bitch is funny. I don't think
that got over. So I mean, the rest of that is very funny.
You
don't laugh at when he punches his head and it goes unity. I thought that's the funny part of that sketch.
No.
Unity.
The only funny comedian is Mitch Hedberg, and that's it.
Yeah, Mitch. Well, it's because I think they were talking about the late great Sridhar Ramesh. He's not late. His account just got suspended. He's not dead. But I once was commenting on. He was talking about I Think You Should Leave, the Tim Robinson show, which is very popular. And he's talking about it's kind of average. The sketches are all the same. It's like a yelling guy that's disruptive. But then someone pointed out. What's interesting about it is, like, I think why people respond to it is because it's the only show that's just trying to be funny and, like, nothing else. There's no greater experience.
There's some soul to it. There's some soul to it. I really like it. I could write, I was thinking when I was watching it, I was like, I could write a whole long essay about this show. I like it a lot. I thought the second season was as good as the first season.
There's a lot to it. I think, one of the words that gets thrown around a lot in the leftosphere is alienation. They talk about how we are powerless to change things because we have this force of entertainment and this society of relating to each other, which is constantly alienating. And that is the essential comedy of I Think You Should Leave. This guy is behaving in a way, some guy is behaving in a way that is alienating himself from the rest of the group. And everyone looks on in stunned silence as he continues to do this thing.
Yes, I love that show.
Yeah, it's a great show. But yeah, I think that's what you said about Mitch Hedberg is what makes Mitch Hedberg great is that he's only trying to be funny, I mean, there is soul to Mitch Hedberg, but you pick it up incidentally because the thing that comes first is
I do not understand these issues comedians. Like, they are... It used to be you could tell a comedian sucked because he would constantly do crowd work, right? He would constantly basically pick someone in the crowd to roast. And he wouldn't have any actual jokes other than insults, right?
Yeah. But now, those can be very funny.
That is better than what we have now, which is comedians who talk about social issues.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of started with George Carlin, and he was so great and so influential that...
It started with Lenny Bruce, and then
even Lenny Bruce was trying to be funny more than these guys. Like, Lenny Bruce got in trouble for being funny in a profane way, and then the cops, beat him up and arrested him, and then he started talking about that. But, I mean...
Yeah. But there was this... I think... that's what people are inspired by, the late end of his career, his sermonizing aspect. And sermonizing has always been a part of stand-up comedy, in my view. I mean, look at Sam Kinison, who was one of the most popular guys, and he was a literal preacher at one point. I think the guy that most embodies that and created the modern version of that style is Bill Hicks, right?
Yeah,
Everyone
he's like a contemporary of George Carlin, though, who I feel like Carlin was bigger.
Carlin was big, but Carlin also, he didn't lean, like, he would occasionally just do jokes.
Yeah, he did.
On top of, like
the
whereas,
dog
like,
farts. You know,
yeah.
there's one? No, I know my farts. Those are dog farts.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas, like, Bill Hicks was all sermon all the time.
And another guy who was a preacher.
Yeah. So yeah, that sort of preach and people are like blaming Nanette for this. It's like, no, this predates Nanette. This has always been a feature. I mean, because stand-up comedy in a lot of ways is like a sermon. It's one guy and he's offering a point of view, and you can use the rhetoric of humor in order to illustrate a point very effectively. Because I guess the basic element of humor structure is that something unexpected happens, right? Like you said, Dave Chappelle is like, you wouldn't expect a man to be a good leader of a feminist group. Yeah. That's whoa, you're blowing my mind. So, but in that, the root of all comedy is like this: you have this logical expectation, and then that expectation is diverted in some way, and that can teach you the logic behind something, or it can make you accept a logic behind something, which is why I think people can actually use it effectively for political speech. I mean, look at Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is the greatest stand-up comic of all time. Fuck all these other guys. Donald Trump is way funnier.
I don't know. He's not the greatest.
He's the greatest stand-up of all time.
So what about Bob Hope?
He didn't write his own jokes. He was a weird guy. Bob Hope was a weird guy. He beat his wives. I don't know if he beat his wives.
Only the Canadian ones.
Talking about Canadian serial killers.
Yeah, we did. We did Picton.
We did Picton. One of the we had a recent one in Toronto here, and Bruce MacArthur.
Wow.
I was at the meetings in church in Wellesley while that was going on.
What you were at your some kind of Alcoholics Anonymous meetings?
I was at my Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Mm-hmm. I was at my Dave Rutherford says hi. It's Dave Rutherford from Narcotics Anonymous. He's my friend.
Oh, you're not supposed to use last names. That's okay though.
No, he told me that in confidence, but he's okay. He wants everyone to know he does drugs. We're starting a new group called Narcotics Named, and we're going to be out there. You know, we're not going to be shamed anymore. We're going to use our full names and addresses and social security numbers.
Oh, okay.
In order to prove a point.
That's cool.
Yeah, Narcotics Named.
So,
Bruce I was at my Narcotics Named meeting, and
you were talking about you guys were all talking about Bruce MacArthur.
Yeah, well, because he was cutting a tear through the old gay village there in Toronto, and you know, for years he had preyed on only Muslim men primarily, because I think he reasoned that they didn't really have a support network. They weren't really telling anybody they were gay, and there is less of a public outcry for brown men, because the big network of the gay community with all the media connections is still largely white. And I think that proved to be true, because as soon as he killed like a white guy with connections to the larger gay community, Andrew Kinsman, that's when they caught him. And they wouldn't reveal he was a serial killer. Everyone was saying, it's a serial killer. It's a serial killer. That's the reason why this guy's missing. And the Toronto police were like, no, it's not a serial killer. And but this is what the Toronto police always do, is that they underestimate the public and think they're going to send them into a panic when they know it's a guy. They did this with Bernardo too, where they didn't release the composite sketch of him to the public for years, because they had this underestimation, this lack of public trust.
Let me interject a thing here. That is a common pattern with the authorities. There's a blog guy named Tanner Greer that goes into this. The authorities made the same mistake with COVID. They did not release information about COVID because they were fearful of a public panic. And what Tanner Greer reveals in his blog, I think is really, really insightful. It's that the real fear that they have is not that we will panic and like run roughshod. It's that we will lose confidence in their authority. So that is why they withhold information. They are actually the ones who are in a panic, and that they're in a panic because they're unable to figure out what's going on.
I mean, I think that is not just a problem of capitalism, but just a problem of vertical structure. I'm sure you could point to stories of the Soviet Union where information was withheld from the public to the state's detriment because the state was worried its authority would be undermined.
Yeah, if they had released the information about COVID that they knew at the time, then it would have probably been better. But you know what? You don't want everyone to panic.
Which isn't Soviet bashing. We love the Soviets here.
I am indifferent.
I like the rest of them, though.
I am indifferent to their suffering.
I like Lenin. Like Khrushchev. Antropov. Can take him or leave. Take or leave him. We don't like Gorby because he did Glasnost. And he made us boo, capitalists. Boo! The Pizza Hut in Gorky Square. In Gorky Park. I don't know what it's called. I don't know shit about the Soviets. All I know is true crime. The Soviet serial killer Andrei Chikatilo is another guy. Oh,
that's a thing we could look up. The top 5 Soviet serial killers.
Top 5 Soviet serial killers? I'm sure Chikatilo is number 1. I couldn't name another one. Chikatilo. Andrei Chikatilo.
List of most dreaded serial killers in Russia. No, number 1 is Tamara Samsonova.
What? A lady?
Yeah. Tamara Samsonova, a Russian serial killer arrested July 15th on suspicion of committing 2 murders. What?
That's nothing. That's loser number. You see, this is what I'm talking about. True crime has escalated just to this local news murders at this point. That's how thirsty we are to just have these stories.
Okay, this list is bad. This is just
the
next one is of course Andrei Chikatilo.
Yes, Andrei Chikatilo.
He's a real deal.
He's his numbers in the 40s.
56 it says 56 people.
56, yeah, that we know of that are confirmed. I mean, the top serial killers.
I always love saying that we know of.
We know of.
I add that to most of my statements now. like my wife's like, when's dinner? I'm like, it's at 5:30 that I know of. No, that's not a good example.
It's like when you're, how many bagels are there today? There are 3 types of bagels, as we know of.
Yeah.
What kind of coffee did you get? There may be more bagels. There may be more types of bagels. I don't know. It's a big universe out there.
Yeah, I can't think of any good examples. I'm saying it all the time, though. I'm saying it constantly, just incorrectly.
Yeah, you're using it out of context constantly.
Here's another list linked on the serial killer list is male celebs with the hottest lips.
Nice. Which ones? Which ones have the hottest lips? I want to know.
Like Justin Timberlake, Johnny Depp.
I can't picture his lips. I can picture Tom Hardy has the hottest lips. I thought that was a known quantity.
Brad Pitt, he's got a nice pair of lips.
Yes.
Tom Hardy's on there. Tyson Beckford looks like he has like lip surgery.
I don't know who Tyson Beckford is.
Generally, he plays characters named Tyson on shows.
Okay.
I think he's like a male model. I think most of the time they have to cast him as Tyson because, he's not too bright. Henry Cavill got some nice lips.
Sure.
Here we go. Cord Overstreet. You know this guy?
Ooh, Tyson Beckford. Okay, I see what he's doing.
Do you know Cord Overstreet?
Cord, that's not a name.
Cord Overstreet.
That's not a name.
He's our age. He's 32. He's, I don't know what he does.
He looks like a knockoff Brad Pitt. He looks like the off-brand Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a bunch of different male celebs morphed together. Kind of has a Matt Damon thing going on.
He's from Glee. That's all I know.
Well, Cord is a really strong and powerful name.
Cord. Yeah. Cord. Hi, I'm Cord.
It's like naming your kid Gord.
Yeah, Gord. Yeah, I think if you want to know anything about Canada, just say the name Gord, and suddenly you're there. You know, you collect all these Proustian sense memories by just verbalizing Gord. It's the magic Canadian word.
Are there any Canadian serial killers who played in the NHL?
I don't know about serial killers. I wonder if there are NHL players who are murderers.
Yeah. Probably.
There you go. That's a true crime. NHL players who are murdered. Chris Benoit is a wrestler who was a murderer.
Yeah, was he Canadian?
NHL players who have been charged with serious crime.
Nice. This is getting into the direction I want the podcast to go into, which is lists.
Yes, we're just going to be more listicles.
Yeah, we're going to read lists to you, the audience.
Yeah, we're just going to become pod about lists.
Is that what that one? Don't listen to that show. Listen to this show. But is that what that show's about?
I think that's the gag, as they read various lips, but they're three unusually funny guys and their takes on it.
And we are two depressed, unemployed pieces of shit.
We're a bunch of jerks. We're pure jerks. There's no reason to love us, but except for our constant coverage of NHL players who have been charged with serious crimes. Danny Heatley pleaded guilty to 4 misdemeanor charges in exchange for prosecutors dropping charges of first-degree vehicular homicide and reckless driving, which could have meant up to 15 years in prison. Heatley was also ordered to make 50 speeches a year for 3 years about the perils of speeding. His car was required to have a mechanism to prevent it from exceeding 70 miles an hour. I guess he killed somebody.
His car had a mechanism?
Craig McTavish.
Damn.
They put a mechanism.
I can't wait till we have
a lot of car crashes.
Like the bio body mods, and then the government can be like, we're installing a mechanism in your body that will prevent you from doing crimes. It attaches into your brain. Like I watched, just to wrap up the show, I watched 2 movies this week. I watched The Polka King, starring Jack Black.
That's a funny movie.
I
true
watched
crime movie.
Possessor.
Possessor, that rules. That movie rules.
Directed by one of the Cronenbergs. Now there's multiple Cronenbergs, which is like very Rick and Morty of Cronenberg to spawn more Cronenbergs.
It's funny. Remember the show? Now it's in real life.
It's a Cronenberg, Morty. So it's directed by I think son of Cronenberg.
Is Brandon Cronenberg is the director. And it features Toronto in all its beautiful ugliness.
It's so funny how it's in Canada. It's like businesses in the future in Canada are doing corporate espionage by controlling people's brains using some kind of matrix technology. Very cool movie. Watch Possessor and The Polka King back to back, like I did.
Yeah. It's just going to be, we're a true crime podcast from now on. It's House of True Crime. Tune in next week where we're going to talk about more women being murdered horribly. Just women ending it up in all sorts of pieces, you know, just cut like hamburger and just cut through a sieve and, you know, shaved with a cheese grater and, you know, cutting the webbing between their toes with a piece of paper. Oh, it's the worst. And then putting orange juice in those wounds. And then, oh no, it's more things that are bad. It's true crime. True crime all the time. Get your boner pills. Get your boner pills for true crime.